Oh, hey, you beat me here. Awesome. It's great to see you. I hope you enjoyed last week's video. That was super awesome with that robotic friend. I really think you're going to like this week's video. It adds on to what we did before. This one's called Loopy Robotic Friends. Let's go to the computer. All right, Mr. Weiss here for our second video. I hope you enjoyed that first one, my robotic friends. If you have not done that first video, I would suggest going back to that. This lesson is very similar to the first one. It does build on that though. So if you haven't done that first video, I do really suggest that you go back to that first week's. So this one is called My Loopy Robotic Friends, and here we go. So we're going to need the same materials as last week for this, a pen or a pencil, something to write on, so some kind of piece of paper, lined is fine, not lined, scratch paper works, and 3 or more cups. More cups means a bigger cup stack that you can build and that you can create. I'm using the same ones as I did last week from our kitchen. So our target for this is going to be very similar to last week's also, and it is I will use symbols with loops to give directions to my robot on how to stack cups. The difference here is loops is inside of it now. So we're doing this so that our robot can again build our cup stack, and then we know we've got it. You know you've got it when your robot can build that cup stack that you created. Remember, you wrote the program. Then the robot, that family member as the robot, gets to try to build the cup stack program that you wrote. So our word here, that change in that target, was loop. So a loop is the action of doing something over and over again. It is something that repeats. So right below that definition here, I have arrows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those arrows are repeating. Right? It happens over and over again. Down below it, I have go forward with an arrow, and then I have up. Go forward, up. Go forward, up. That's repeating also, right? That is a pattern. The go forward and up repeats 1, 2, 3 times. So again, we're going to have the same symbols as we did last week. These are the only symbols that we can put into our programs. So we can pick the cup up again, right, with arrow up. Now maybe you have a taller cup stack, so maybe you need 2 arrows up, right? So one arrow would be here, the next arrow would be higher, maybe it's even higher than that, right? And then you have the arrows to put cup down. Step forward with arrow forward, step backwards with arrow backwards, and then we have the 2 turn cups 90 degrees, one to the right and then the other one to the left. Remember, that is if I have my cup already up, I turn 90 degrees, and if I turn 90 degrees again, now it's facing that way. Maybe some of your cup stacks ended up having something like that. That is how you could do that. Again, this screen is on that slide deck under our specialist section for Mr. Weiss 21st Century, or you could pause the video at this time or come back to it and pause it and get those symbols. So this is also straight from last week, but we're going to add on to this here in just a second. Remember, each line here is for a new cup. I have the numbers 1, 2, and 3. I also then show you what number that cup goes with here. So this is that first cup, remember, second cup goes here. As you write that program, you can start a new line for each new cup. That is something I would do, make it easier for your robot to read. So the other thing here to remember is each step is 1/2 of a cup's width, right? So if I look back at number 1, right here, I'm gonna pick cup up. 1 step is half the cup. 1 more step, I'm just past, and then I put that cup down, okay? My robot arm's out here again, so I have to do the 2 steps back, okay? Again, that was We covered that last week. If you didn't get into that lesson, if that makes sense, keep going with this. Otherwise, I would suggest to go back to that first lesson again from last week. So we go all the way through that with the second cup, the third cup, and then we build that cup tower. So where in this program here do you see an action that repeats? I see a few of them, right? So even in that first cup, I see that repeats right here. That repeats right here. Those with 2 going forwards. If I go to that second cup, it repeats 1, 2, 3, 4 times forward and 4 times back. And then down on my third cup, it repeats with going forward 3 times. So that loop that we talked about, that action that repeats over and over again, in that second cup, that second line, that going forward repeats 4 times. Well, we don't always want to have to write out all the arrows, especially if I have a big cup stack. So we can make this shorter now. So I can say, pick cup up, and now I can draw a circle around that arrow, and that tells my robot this is going to repeat. And then by putting a number up above, I'm telling the robot how many times it repeats. So go to that next slide. My program that was really long before now looks like this. It says the exact same thing, it's just a whole lot shorter. If I look at number 1, I pick cup up. Now there's the arrow forward with a circle, and it says the number 2 above it. That tells my robot to move 2 forward. 1, 2, put cup down. My robot hands out here. There's the arrow backwards with the circle, and it says 2 back. So that repeats, right? I'm telling the robot that this is something that repeats. 1, 2, and I come back. So I have now made my code a whole lot shorter, a whole lot more simple to read for that robot. So again, here are some examples of things that you may want to do as the programmer. You can do bigger cup stacks now by doing those loops, right? Writing the circles over what repeats and then giving the number with how many times to do it. Some more examples. If you have a lot of cups, think about that one though, with how many things would repeat. It would take a long, long time to write out each arrow for that cup stack. But if I use the loop, that repeat circle, and then how many times to repeat it, it's gonna really make it doable. It's gonna be way easier to do for that one. So again, how to play. Well, it's gonna take you and somebody else to do this, right? A family member, mom, dad, uncle, aunt, somebody in your house, brother, sister. First thing you're gonna wanna do as the programmer is you're gonna take that pencil paper and some of the cups, maybe all of them, if that's okay, and you are gonna go build your cup stack. Remember, you only get to use those 6 symbols. Don't let the others see, right? If it's gonna be your mom or dad, don't let them see what you're building, okay? Because they're gonna be the robot. So you as the programmer are gonna write down then how to build your cup stack using those symbols. Again, if it repeats, use a loop sign, right? Do the circle around it. Once you are the programmer, have written your algorithm, remember that's your recipe for your cup stack, have that family member then try to build your cup stack algorithm. Robots, so this would be the person building it, you can only do what the algorithm says. You can only do what the recipe tells you to do. Robots shouldn't try to guess what the programmer means or what they meant, okay? If that means a cup ends up falling flat onto the floor, that's what it means, right? Programmers, you're not allowed to talk when that robot is working. This includes giving those hints. This is a hard part, right? Because you want to help them when you see that algorithm not working, or maybe the robot isn't reading it the way you thought. So that is a hard part. Once you are finished, again, robot and the programmer, you should talk together, figure out if there were any bugs, figure out what didn't make sense, then go back and try to refine your program, maybe make some corrections, and then see if your robot can build it, if it makes sense. All right, again, I would love pictures, maybe some videos of families doing this. I hope it turns into a family activity. Everybody can play. This is something for all ages in this. So again, guys, I wish that we could be at school. I would much rather be doing this at school, but we're doing the best we can. So if you have any questions, also email me. I'll gladly answer your questions for you. Everybody take care and be safe. Thank you.